For my restoration project, I researched my relative Warren Farr Parrish and his contributions to the early church, and also his path to apostasy and dissension. So the first part of this book I made goes pretty quick because I just cover some basic timeline events like his birth, and that's a photo of a family tree on from Ancestry.org. This is when he was baptized by Brigham Young in 1833. He was married to Elizabeth Patten, known as Betsy Patten, who was the brother of David Patten, one of the original 12 apostles, and they participated in Zion's camp, where Betsy actually got sick and died from cholera. And that kind of began his initial hard feelings against the church, I believe. At least that's what it seems like. But despite that, he was called into leadership of the church, where he became a member of the first quorum of the 70, and he was also the scribe to Joseph Smith, and he recorded several of his journal entries and several important meetings and revelations that Joseph received. He was actually promised the ability to be able to translate himself, and he attempted to do so with parts of the papyrus of the Pearl and Great Price, but he failed. He served two missions, one in Missouri, one in Tennessee. He actually had some pretty good success, and he was companions with David Patten as well as Wilford Woodruff. The Kirtland Safety Society, the church bank, was probably the biggest turning point in his dissension. He was accused by Joseph Smith of laundering money and writing notes after Joseph had kind of shut the operation down, and accused of embezzling money and everything. And so I guess he's pretty much the reason that the church bank failed. And after that, he kind of led a life dedicated to destroying Joseph Smith and persecuting the saints. So then I found a lot of information, and that's where the bulk of my research happened, was the Kirtland Safety Society and his apostasy, his excommunication, some kind of crazy events where he stormed into the temple while Joseph Smith Sr. was preaching and held everybody, not really hostage, but just kind of made a scene. And then these are all other quotes I found of instances of him showing hostility and persecuting either Joseph Smith or the saints, and basically just trying to claim that Joseph was a fallen prophet, and he eventually started his own church called the Church of Christ, which was the original name of the church before it was changed, and it eventually failed or was disbanded. And so then he became a Baptist minister for the rest of his life. But it seems as though even the Baptists, he kind of had a lot of run-ins and troubles with them, and he didn't want them to know he was a Mormon, but they eventually always found out, and it led to problems with, or conflicts of beliefs and doctrine and things like that. And he eventually moved to Kansas, and he went crazy. Says he lost his sanity, and then he died in Emporia, Kansas, in 1877, and he's buried there. So that's pretty much all the exciting stuff that I learned about Warren Parrish. Pretty cool. This is off of FamilySearch.org. he's had all of his temple ordinances redone, even though he was excommunicated. So I don't really know how all that works, but he's all good to go that way, I guess. And then I found this home, or a picture of his home in Kirtland, Ohio. That's pretty cool as well. So that's it. Thanks.